Tadaima! Finals is finally over, but oh my god, you guys tripled while I was gone! I didn't even get a chance to properly welcome the new people! Yo! Man! I'm not gonna lie! I actually cried when I checked my YouTube channel this morning. Congrats to Akiko Studios for being my 200th follower and Parmis for being my 300th, and shout out to every single one of you here. Oh my god. Especially Tracy, Flawed Fairy Tales, Craft Girl 22, Black Hearted Wing, Shadow, Cassandra V, Alyssa Co. I see y'all comment on literally every single video I've made, and it warms my heart like you wouldn't believe. Also, to the sweet people who reached out to me on my Instagram, hello, I love you. I could literally go on and list about all 300 of you. I just love you guys. Like, you are all the best, but Tracy. You guys can thank Tracy for this video because they've helped me so much with it. We may have started off with the wrong foot, but girl, like, I look forward to reading your comments on my videos because you're literally amazing. And I know you probably changed your usernames, so I think you're just A now, but I will forever remember you and I hope you stick around because you're literally my favorite person ever. Hi, nice to meet you. I love you. Alrighty then, so today we're gonna be talking about the ending to Banana Fish. Oh, and as always, spoiler warning. I originally wanted to make a poll, but YouTube was being stupid, so raise your hand if you believe Ash is still alive. Okay, how about if Ash is dead? Well, that's what we're gonna go over today. So before that, though, I want to talk about Dino's suicide a little bit. I feel like it's a scene that a lot of people overlook. Many people have mixed feelings about this scene, and I can see exactly why. Banana Fish paints Dino to be this really shitty guy, being Ash's perpetrator, adopted father, and basically the cause of everything that's ever gone wrong in his life. However, in the last few minutes of episode 24, all of that is nearly completely erased and Dino is redeemed. Dino saves Ash from being killed, then falls off of a building and into the fiery pit below. He even chooses to die, which I thought was kind of unfair. Ash definitely deserved to shoot him at least once. And yeah, you could argue that he fell by accident, but just look at that smile on his face. He knew exactly what he was doing. But was Dino actually redeemed? I want to bring up the intense stare down that Ash and Dino had seconds prior to the suicide. Dino realized just how powerful Ash had truly become in that moment and has taken the satisfaction of once again saving his life. However, this time Ash is not that scared little boy that he once was. He literally turns into an animal. Like a wild animal. Lynx or leopard or whatever you want to call it, he's cautious of Dino coming any closer, but silently waits for him to make the first move. Dino, much like a hunter, freezes with his gun pointed at him. He knew that if he had taken one step forward, Ash would have either killed him or ran away for good. There was no chance of Dino catching Ash and surviving forever, especially with that wound. Ash's facial expressions seem blank, but I'd like to think that he's saying, or just get it over with. Dino then shifts his weight and plummets to his death, catching a glimpse of Ash's face one last time. I think that Banana Fish may have seemingly tried to redeem Dino with his suicide, however, I also think the anime is letting us see Ash through Dino's eyes for the first time. He could never truly see Ash as a son, or even as a prize. He saw him as an animal, his pet. This is someone he's trained to be his successor, like an owner training a dog. And his death was him stepping down from his position, allowing Ash to win his place. Dino never really felt any sort of guilt for what he did, especially to those children, or to Shorter, or to Ash. He selfishly took his own life because, for once, he was scared of the monster that he created. He wasn't redeemed, he was just running away. Ash knew this, and this is probably why he was able to move on so quickly. He wasn't ever gonna take his place, no matter how much money, power, or fame it got him. Anyway, that's just a small scene that I wish got more recognition. I understand that it's full of plot holes, but I think it's not really all that bad. I've also never seen anybody really analyze the scene either, and this is just my interpretation of it. I don't know. I think it was cool. Anyway, here's the big question. Did Ash really die? If you ask people from other parts of the world, they might have different perspectives. I think that's part of why I love Banana Fish, to be honest. Even though it's fairly common for people to think Ash chose to die for AG or Ash committed suicide, many people, including myself, believe that Ash just was meant to die. But anyway, before I go any further, the anime was intended to be an open ending, so any theory that I say can 100% be different than somebody else's. All theories are accepted into this household because we collectively love Banana Fish and that's what matters most. But don't get me wrong, suicide and killing people is nothing to romanticize, especially when it comes to teenagers. But people seem to forget that Ash was also definitely a mass murderer. He killed tons of people. I think Charlie Hughes counted 62 in my Every Deaths video. Thank you for counting, by the way. I'm too lazy for that. And yeah, I get it was all for a good reason, but dude's gotta pay up somehow. It's kind of like karma in a way. A sad ending was pretty much hinted at since episode 1 too. This series is basically like the Titanic where you can just kind of tell. The problem with this theory is that it somewhat changes Ash's character. Look, I understand that this is confusing, but to me, I honestly feel like, Ash choosing to die is more out of character than him just flat out dying, because like, I don't really know how to put it into words. Ash is stabbed in the same place where he got shot, on top of the area where Arthur stabbed him, and Blanca probably beat him up there too. In fact, Blanca asks him a few minutes beforehand if his wounds have healed, and Ash replies with, "It hurts like hell." So it doesn't matter if Lau missed his vital organs, this dude was going to die no matter what. So yes, although I also believe that it's unbelievable how Ash dies by a stab wound after taking gunshots and punches as well, it's understandable. With all the pain that Ash has gone through, he probably knew that it was just gonna happen. He didn't even bother calling a hospital or getting help because he just knew it was time and wanted to be where he was the most peaceful. I'm gonna go more in depth with this in another video, but the snows of Kilimanjaro can also tell us a little bit about Ash's death. Ash says that he may have preferred death but wasn't scared of it, and he's never really asked for it. However, he's curious about a leopard that decided to climb up a mountain and what its last thoughts were when it froze to death. Like that leopard though, he dies in a peaceful place. His body stays preserved forever through Eiji's memories and the legacies that he's created for his pictures. He may have had some regrets about not staying with Eiji, but he dies fulfilled and content, knowing that Eiji is by his side. This is completely different compared to the other villains of Banana Fish, like Arthur, who dies with their business unfinished and feeling complete regret. Now, there are tons of other theories out there that say that Ash is still alive, and it's rather popular to believe so. These theories can be completely forgotten when you consider Garden of Light, but I don't really like considering it canon anyway, so we're just gonna ignore that for a second. Firstly, there's the Mappa character chart thing. Look, I don't know about you guys, but I'm seriously against Ash being alive just because I think it kind of ruins the story's meaning for me. But I also want him to be alive because of the representation problems that I mentioned in previous videos. But anyway, these theories basically say that all of the characters who are deceased are colored in, and in the updated character version, Ash was changed from no color to colored, so therefore he is still alive. There's also a poster theory where Ash and Eiji are drawn in Japan rather than New York, and the intro theory where Ash is walking during the night instead of the daytime, possibly on his way to the airport after sleeping at the library. Like I mentioned before, he wasn't stabbed where his vital organs are, and he has survived tons of wounds in the past episodes, and the dude has already faked his death like once before. There's a ton of other theories supporting this. If you're interested, I highly recommend you check out Nekoheim's YouTube video. I hope I said that right, but they're actually really cool. So here's an argument for the people who say that Ash does die, other than the few that I've already mentioned. In a perfect day for Banana Fish, Seymour, the main character, commits suicide. Seymour can be compared to Ash because he also deals with mental issues from the result of war. However, the only difference I would really like to point out is that Seymour sounds like he's a bit of a pedophile. We don't really know the exact reason behind it, but we do know that it wasn't much of a surprise due to the build-up. Much like Seymour, Ash's trauma, worries, stress is all gone in an instant. He dies smiling because he's found a way to let it all go and take a long, well-deserved rest. However, the last episode is also called Catcher in the Rye. If you couldn't already tell, I have been actually reading these books on my free time, and it is really fun. Holden is a lot like Ash too, but Holden doesn't actually die. Actually, since the rye fields at the end of the Banana Fish outro are supposed to symbolize innocence, I think Ash was sacrificing himself to protect Eiji's innocence like he did when he was literally willing to shoot himself in front of Yutlang. But I am also against this because I don't think Ash committed suicide. I'll explain that more later. Anyway, but for me, I believe that it all comes down to the snows of Kilimanjaro. It's worth noticing that it does start to snow at the end, and Ash climbs a mountain to get to the library, and the reason behind it all is fairly unknown. I get Eiji said that he wasn't a leopard, but I beg to differ. Kilimanjaro is literally the mountain called the House of God, and if you look up at the New York Library, it's filled with angels. Coincidence? I think not. Despite people saying that the snows of Kilimanjaro is actually about a wasted potential and dying and crap, I actually think it's about immortality. It's kind of like in Coco, as long as you aren't forgotten, you can basically live forever. And like, you know, when frozen corpses, I think that leopard was there for like years and years, so Ash will be around for years and years because we all love him. Anyway, if anybody has any other theories or something, just jot it down in the comments because I know there has to be more. So what if Ash was still alive? In the theories where Ash is still alive, he goes to the library, finishes reading Eiji's letter, then walks to the airport where he eventually passes out on the snow. He most likely wakes up in a hospital and or goes to Japan and lives happily ever after, away from the guns and the mafias, or Does he? I have a thing for dark, sad stories, so here's my take on it. If Ash was still alive, I don't think Ash would have ever seen AG again. Doesn't matter if he was stabbed or not. Ash had already somewhat decided that he wasn't ever gonna contact him again. I get that the official art and stuff say otherwise, but that's all just marketing to me. AG would try forever and ever to reach Ash, but Ash would either just be in jail or continue fighting crime within New York City. I doubt he would ever take Blanca's offer to live with him in the Caribbean either. Some people would argue that Ash and AG would be a sexual relationship or would not be in sexual relationship, but the whole argument is thrown away to me because I am convinced that they would never have a relationship at all.
I win.
Also, I've mentioned this in previous videos as well, but Yoshida tends to lean towards whatever the interviewers are asking her, so I feel like we can't really consider any of her interviews canon. But yeah, I'm sure a ton of you would agree with me on this one, especially after reading some of your guys' thoughts in the representation videos, but a lot of people also commented that I shouldn't have included Ash's death in my Every Deaths video, so it's pretty evenly split. But that's just my theory and my headcanon. It honestly is open to interpretation like I said before. What do you guys think? Do you think Ash is living with AG happily in Japan, or do you think he's still pew pew, pow pow, punch punch in New York City? Woo! Or do you think he's in jail? Cause that's what I think. Also, I can't just end the video without talking about this, but Yutlung still has banana fish. Like, he still has it. It wasn't all burnt down. I am convinced that the dude just has it and will use it against anybody, and it's not over. The whole banana fish drama, it can continue. Okay, so I know I said that we can't really consider any of Yoshida's interviews canon, but we're gonna be talking about it anyway. Yoshida had planned Ash to die peacefully long before banana fish was even finished. Although I think River Phoenix's death had a huge role in that, I think it was just something that she's had in mind since the very beginning. She also mentions that she was thinking of Ashita no Joe and Midnight Cowboy and other series while writing the ending. People have speculated that she killed Ash because of the bury your gays trope and other problematic things, but I don't think that was her priority at all. She may have done that by accident. Like we mentioned earlier, Ash isn't even technically canonically gay. I also found an interview of her confirming Ash wasn't gay too, so oops. Yoshida got a shit ton of hate comments because of her choice, and people even started sending her death threats and crap because of this. This could all be due to the mistranslations. Again, the English translators seem to have really wanted Ash to choose to die. In the part where Lao says you missed my vital organs, followed by good enough though, neither of us are gonna make it, so you can infer that Ash missed Lao's vital organs too, but Lao still instantly dies. But missing the organs, doesn't that mean you technically have a chance to live or something? In the Japanese version, Lao says something along the lines of, so did you, and neither of us will be saved. He never really says vital organs, so I think he was just referring to like a key spot where that would instantly kill him. Like, you know, when you stab somebody with a knife in the heart, then you would die, but you stab them in like a stomach or something and they like bleed out slower or something, you die slower. There's another mistranslation in Garden of Light when Sing says during long hours until death finally came, when in the Japanese version it says nagai jikan, which just means long time. It doesn't specify minutes, seconds, hours, days, just time. Like, he didn't really die for hours and like was in pain for hours. He could have been sitting there for like seconds. You know, being in pain for a few seconds is technically a long time. So in the Japanese version, Ash doesn't even choose to die or anything, he just simply knew that he was done for. Yoshida also says that Ash should have died in vain, with no real meaning behind his life. She also mentions that living a full life when you're 17 is something she finds really fascinating, which can be, again, mistaken for romanticizing suicide. Look, as somebody who struggles with being anxious and mental health stuff, I don't know how to feel about this either, but I think this part all comes down to cultural differences. Mental health isn't really talked about as openly as it is in America and Japan. It's not something everybody really understands, despite having one of the highest suicide rates in the whole world. To me, Ash's death being considered a suicide is more romanticizing because he didn't exactly have a choice. He didn't do it because he wanted to save Eiji. He was just gonna die nonetheless and wanted to enjoy his last minutes rather than to move around and feel more pain. I've also seen a few posts of people saying that Yoshida just doesn't care about her characters. As someone whose favorite character is Yutlung Lee, man, she literally only gave him like 1 page in Yasha, and there wasn't really enough closure for me at all. I also mentioned this before, but Banana Fish characters don't really grow either. They stayed the same from episode 1 to 24. Eiji goes back to Japan, maybe somewhat more grown up. Ash is still dealing with the same troubles and just dies. Blanca runs off, Dino dies. Nothing is really resolved, and no one has any major twists that scream character development. And Banana Fish is just burned anyway. It just like doesn't matter. As a realistic author who tries to make Banana Fish as real as humanly possible, I just wish she cared more about her characters. Can we also briefly talk about how Yutlang had so much potential to be a really good villain, but was thrown away at the last minute because Fox came out of nowhere and he was basically pushed to the sidelines when he literally had the coolest power ever? Like, who the fuck carries around the poisonous needle and isn't viewed as a total threat because he literally should have poisoned AG with Banana Fish? Changed my fucking mind. Anyway, that's basically it. So thanks for watching. Enjoy your day and leave some comments about what you think and your headcanons and stuff. To be honest, I've been getting a few comments saying that I should branch out and talk about other animes and TV shows too. So if anybody has any other recommendations, you know what to do. I recently watched the Demon Slayer movie, which was really cool. I also am a big fan of Killing Stalking, Last of Us, adult shows like Rick and Morty, BoJack Horseman, South Park, Breaking Bad. I mean, I'm in college, I have a lot of time on my hands, but honestly, not a lot of shows have touched me in the same way Banana Fish did, so my videos might not be as awesome for it. I don't know, it's just a thought. Anyway, thank you guys again for the subs. I'll talk to you guys through the comments, and hopefully I didn't leave out any missing details this time, but we'll find out later, right? Thank you for watching!